Hey fam, what's up? Roland Martin here. How are things with all of you? It is March 21st, 2018. This is the Roland Martin Unfiltered Podcast. I have been, of course, traveling around the country in DC today. I was supposed to be in New York. Actually, I was supposed to be leaving on the train for New York a couple of hours ago, but this massive nor'easter dumped a bunch of snow here in DC. All federal buildings are shut down. It's going to dump 12 to 18 inches of snow on New York City. So I was supposed to go to the T. Howard Foundation dinner tonight, this big diversity gala dinner, but I actually canceled that because, again, I didn't know what the conditions were going to be like. Look, 12 to 18 inches of snow ain't no joke, with winds gusting at 40 miles an hour. Plus, I got to be in Denver tomorrow for the Alpha's Western Regional Convention, and so I look forward to that. And so I'm still here in D.C., and so I wanted to chat with you. So a few weeks ago, Time Magazine had an article where it talked about how much sex adults should have per week. It was a pretty interesting article. And so and whenever you have this conversation, people go, oh my God, they're talking about sex when that's how you got here. So it's interesting to me how people are afraid of a conversation about sex. And so I called up my homegirl, Michelle Hope, who is a sexologist, and she has no qualms talking about this subject. In fact, you name it, she will talk about it and will be as raw as possible in doing so. And so, as a result, I want to go ahead and reach out to her for this conversation. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn something. You can, of course, you can follow her at MHSexpert, MHSEXPERT on Twitter. I think she has the same handle on Instagram, so you can check it out. So here's our conversation. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, Michelle, let's talk about this Time article. So you're a sexologist, and it was an interesting piece talking about, obviously, adults and whether they're married or not, and how many times they should be having sex a week to have a great sex life. And so the article pretty much said once a week is fine. And your thoughts?
Well, I think that the first thing we need to focus on is that although sex is a very important part of healthy marriage, intimacy is really the key to sustaining long and happy marriages. Sometimes when we look at marriages and when we look at intimacy in the United States, we identify intimacy as acts of sex or some type of physical act. Now, there are other factors that can play into the frequency of marriage and how happy you are in a marriage. You know, depending on what kind of medications you might be taking and or your health could impact the amount of sex or frequency of sex that you engage in with your partner. However, that might not necessarily correlate the happiness you feel or the fulfillment you feel in a marriage. Additionally, in the article, it discussed the idea of not forcing sex, because to think that sex is associated with a happy marriage, to try to force more sex engagement with your partner could end up making someone feel as though sex becomes a chore, which really removes spontaneity and removes romance. I think that what couples should focus on is finding ways to connect intimately, whether that's sexually or non-sexually. So that could be one suggestion I often make for couples is creating 5 minutes out of the day where the two of you discuss your hopes, your dreams, and things that are not related to the everyday routine of the marriage and responsibilities if the couple are parents, or they're taking care of their own parents, but something that really helps them reconnect on one, why they fell in love, why they're still in love, and who they are as autonomous people, right? So if we were a couple, it would be like, I would want to tell you about my hopes and dreams. You would tell me about your hopes and dreams. And then collectively as a couple, we could discuss how we achieve those hopes and dreams. If you feel like, oh, I'm just so overwhelmed in my life, I sometimes refer or tell couples to try to plan a vacation, a fantasy vacation, right? Because then that helps you two get on the same page, dreaming, fantasy, and things of that nature, which could inevitably increase the frequency of sex in the marriage.
Well, it sort of reminds me of Several years ago, I was at a church in Dallas, and a pastor was preaching, and then he said, as a part of his sermon, he said, "I make love to my wife all day." People are like,
Mm.
"Okay, what is he talking about?" And he said it doesn't start with a nudge at night. He said it starts in the morning. He said it starts with what I say or do when I'm leaving. He said it starts with um, a text message or a call that I might give throughout the day. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? Something that's playful. Then he also said that he said when I come home, he said I don't go to the refrigerator and grab a beer first. I don't go open the mail first. I don't go and play with the kids first. He said, I go give her a hug and a kiss first. And he said, so by the time nighttime arrives, he said, I've cultivated this whole day of relationship. He said, that makes that, he said, a heck of a lot easier.
Mhm. And I would have to agree with that because even when it comes to just pure sex, and let's remove the context of sex in a marriage, but in just a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
the brain is the most important part when it comes to sexual activity. And when you think about orgasm and climax, the important part of getting to that is the anticipation, right? The anticipation that leads you to climax. And to do that, it doesn't have to start with the nudge at night, like the pastor said, but can start with, loving accolades in the morning and throughout the day. And I think that when we think about what a marriage is, right? A marriage comes before kids. A marriage comes before work. A marriage comes before friends. And to some extent, when you think about compromise, there are moments when a marriage comes before self. Now, I am a firm believer that, the first relationship starts with self, and that can waver. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that when you choose to become married, the sustainability of that really depends on how much work you put into the marriage,
Mm-hmm.
put into your partner, and taking two wholes, right, and becoming a greater sum, right? It's not I'm a half a person and I come in and you're a half a person and that's going to get us to a whole, because that will never work and the marriage might not be sustainable, but rather looking to find ways to be your best self, even on your worst days, and then meet your partner in the middle to create a greater sum of the relationship.
What's also interesting to me, I think, when I saw this article, it's very interesting to me when I'll be with couples, and whether they're married or not, and there's no playfulness.
Right.
Um, I've observed, and you'll sit there and you'll watch somebody, and there's no holding of hands, there's no playing with each other, there's no poking one another, there's no whether it's rubbing on his chest or hand or slapping him on the butt, slapping her on the butt, all those things, and it's very interesting when you sort of see it's sort of like two ships passing, or sort of this
Yeah.
coldness. And so I can only imagine what that's like when it's time to when the two of those get together to have sex. It's sort of like, okay, let's go and get this thing over with.
Right.
You can feel that coldness, if you will.
Right. Yeah, and I think that coldness is going to just move on into the bedroom area as well, especially when you think about how women are turned on. Like women take a lot longer to turn on than men, and it's much more an emotional and a mental space for women than it is men. That's why men, we can give them a blue pill that scientifically rushes blood to the genital area to create an erection. But with women, we have the pink Viagra, and that actually doesn't do anything to help make a woman wet. What it does do is put them in the right mental state, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of people that got that kind of confused, they thought, oh my God, it's about to be a miracle pill. But that's just not how women's bodies work. So the idea of keeping it playful is really, really important, but also being acutely aware of what your partner's sexual needs are from go can really help sustain great sex throughout a marriage. And you know what? I don't want to sugarcoat anything. If somebody does not have the same sexual preferences as you, that's something you need to talk about before you walk down the aisle. Because I sometimes have gotten this notion that people think once you get married, it's a quick fix for all of your relationship problems. And really, it's like putting a magnifying glass on them. Because now you're really in it. You stuck, honey. You done signed the papers. So we really want to make sure we're communicating with our spouses, with our partners, with the people that we're dating, what sex means to us. And so for me, in the work that I do, I'm on a quest to really help communities of color re-examine and change the language around what sex is. Because I think oftentimes with our community's deep-rooted notions in faith, we sometimes think that sex is not a part of healthy marriage, but it is. It is a very important
Oh
part
yeah.
of all intimate partner relationships. And you want to really set the stage for success by being open, communicating your needs, and really when you're not satisfied, like speaking up. Happy wife, happy life. They have that saying for a
But,
reason.
but 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 you know what though? But here's the thing though. Okay, so and you're absolutely right when you hear that phrasing, "happy wife, happy life." When you also hear folks talk about how a woman's needs are different from a man, but the reality is, men in many ways, you also want a happy husband.
Exactly.
You don't want somebody who is frustrated, mad, upset, not want to communicate, not want to do any of that because again, what that leads to is that leads to indifference.
Yeah.
And look, I can tell you, it was so funny. I had a friend when I was living in Dallas. A friend of mine, she said, look, she said, man, I don't know what I can do because this dude is not getting it. And I said, okay, what do you mean? She said, well, there are things that I like he has no clue about. I said, I got you. I said, so here's the deal. I said, what you ought to do is you ought to play this thing called the touch game. She's
I
like,
like
what?
the touch game.
Touch game? She's like, what do you mean? I said, this is what you do. I said, light some candles. I said, put some music on. I said, and then what you say is we're going to play the touch game. And I said, and then it's like, okay, so 1 through 5. 1, I don't like this. 3, it's okay. 5, I like this. I said, I said, you do it, he does it. I said, so here's a piece. I said, his ego's not involved. Your
Right.
ego's not involved. I said,
Right.
and then you're real clear. I don't like that. No, I don't like that. I don't like your tongue in my ear,
Right.
or ooh, that turns me on. I said, but the
Right.
whole point there is, and so she said, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. So probably about a couple weeks later, she came back. She's like, oh my God, you were not lying. I said, see? And then while I was trying to get her to understand it, I said, first of all, most folks don't know. So if I don't know that you don't like that, or if I
Hmm.
don't know that you do like that,
Hmm.
how am I supposed to find out? I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go talk to your previous partners and say, "Can you let me know what worked?" And then I think also this getting women to understand that you also need to make sure that that man also is good here, because if
Hmm.
he tunes out, you can hang it up.
Right, right. Well, I think in addition to making sure a man is okay, mind, body, and spirit, it's also empowering women and men to be okay with constructive criticism. I mean, I think the touch game is a great way to introduce something like that. And, oftentimes I get questions from adults that are in relationships asking, how do I tell my partner this? We know that there are oftentimes, or sometimes, all people can get a little touchy when it comes to sex and conversations around sex. And you really have to try to muster your way through those difficult conversations because it's going to come with great orgasms at the end of the day. But being really open and non judgmental to your partner and allowing them the opportunity to tell you what they might be into. Now, let's face it, I'm not going to be into everything that my partner is into. And my partner might not be into everything I'm into, but that's where we then figure out what is the
Right.
compromise on that. Like, but until we start having those conversations, as difficult as they may be, we can never get to the space of compromise because you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't talk about it, you're never going to learn.
Well, the thing is, it's very interesting when you talk about people talking and having that dialogue. I just think a lot of people are scared.
Yeah.
I think they're scared. Okay, I don't know how this person is going to react. I get okay, so I'll tell you this actually happened. So first marriage, okay, it was horrible. I mean, sex was horrible, horrible. And I literally said, "Get off of me." No, it was like, and so I laid down, and it was like, you saw the two things on your shoulder. So one is like, it's all good, don't say nothing. Other one's like, hell yeah, say something. No, don't say anything. Hell yeah, go ahead and tell her how you feel. No, don't say anything. That's gonna make it worse. Damn that. Well, that's how I won out. And I literally said, I said, I'm sorry, that was horrible. I said, mentally you wasn't here, physically you were here. I'm like, I'm sorry, you wasted my time. I said, look, now most guys maybe like, yo, I'm gonna get off, I'm good. I'm like, no, that ain't me. I said, I'm sorry. I said, so that ain't how I roll. And I was, and look, I was because again, you might have people say, well, that was you more in touch with your female side. No, my time and experience is just as valuable as yours is.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where look, you got to go ahead and let folks know. Sorry, this
Well,
ain't working.
right. But I think that's a great, I think it's great that you're so honest and open to disclose, your experience. So I appreciate that. But I think what we really have to tune into is how our society has shaped the way we look at sex and sexuality and
Yep.
toxic masculinity that has kind of been passed down with the idea that men just know what they're doing in bed. So that can create some conflict with men who are like, maybe I don't like what's happening in bed, but society has told me my whole life that like if I'm getting some, I'm winning. But that doesn't necessarily,
No.
I mean, you're right with saying no, but I think oftentimes there is this idea that men think what worked for the last partner is
Right.
going to
Right.
work for the current partner. And it's not, that's not what it is. No vagina is the same, which means no lover is the same. And when you think of, just like no penis is the same, which means you can't have the same tricks that up your sleeve and think you're gonna turn somebody out. Okay, you gotta and maybe you've been in a marriage for a while, but check in with your spouse because as we get older, for women, our hormones change. And that means that how we get excited could change. Our ability to create personal lubrication or self lubricate could vary. And then we're going to have to make some adjustments. Like lube should be your best friend. I mean, even, as a young adult or a younger person who might be married, female dryness can really impact your ability to have great sex.
Just a little bit.
So let's
And
take
that has an impact on him too.
Absolutely. And for women, having dry sex can be painful. So
Yes.
lube, it should always be your friend. I also recommend if you're just getting into this space of becoming more communicative about what you want in the bedroom, just simply try a safe word. So like red. And if somebody does something kind of like the touch game, if somebody does something you don't like, whoa, red. Or even like green, yellow, red.
Or
Like
even like, ouch. No, I'm coming to my
no, I get it. But it's kind of like, how can we simplify this
right.
and give you some tangible tools to take home and practice tonight,
True.
right? I sit in a strange place about pornography. I think that oftentimes it can be exploitative to women. However,
Mm-hmm.
with married couples, if you're a little bit shy and not sure how to present something you want to try to your partner, porn can be a tool to say, hey, look at this porn. This is what I just saw. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about this? Could we maybe explore some of these things and desires I've had? Now, additionally to that, I think that masturbation is really important. Solo masturbation is important because it gives you an opportunity to check back in as to what turns you on personally. Because remember, that first relationship starts with self. So even if you're married, you should have a very healthy sex life with yourself, i.e., masturbation. There are a lot of healthy health benefits from masturbation, stress relief. It can help you sleep at night. You get in tune with what turns you on and what pleases you. And be playful. Don't be afraid. Or another great technique, just make a sex toy date night where you and your partner maybe go to dinner and then go to your local sex toy shop. Even if you don't intend to buy something, you get an opportunity to laugh together, to have an inside joke, and those are the intimate things that can keep your love life going, keep that romance going, and really keep your sex life, swinging. you know? But
All right, cool. All right, so first of all, where can folks reach you for more information?
you guys can find me at MHSexpert on all social media platforms. I'm really active on Twitter and Instagram. And you can also go to my website, which is www.mhsexpert.com. And if you'd like to DM me, email me at info@mhsexpert.com.
All right, cool, cool. You're supposed to end this. You know how you're supposed to end the interview.
You got to let your freak flag fly at all times, baby.
All right, Michelle, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
No problem. Bye-bye.
All right, deuces. And that was Michelle Hope. I told y'all that girl ain't got no sense. So hope y'all enjoyed that conversation. And so that's it for today for Roland Martin Unfiltered here on March 21st. You can hit me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Snapchat at Roland S. Martin. Also, go to my YouTube channel. I want you guys to subscribe. We want to hit 200,000 subscribers. We want to hit 200,000. We're sitting at right now, what are we sitting at? I don't know. What are we sitting at? I'm looking for the number. 136,370. And so we need 64,000 more people. So let's hit 200,000. Okay, folks, I got to go. Hope you have a great day. If you're in the Northeast, stay warm, stay dry, avoid the snow. Hope you have no drama when it comes to driving as well. And so I got to go. Great conversation today. Again, follow Michelle, MHSexpert, MHSexpert. And also go to my Facebook page. You can follow me there as well. And yes, I'm repping the Kansas City Monarchs today. That's what this hat is. And so I want to show them some love. Okay? Y'all take care. Have a great day.